Celebrities that vanished. Hey everyone, it's Alexa again, and welcome back to another video. I know it's a thought that we've all entertained on the odd occasion, to just disappear, just for a little while, when things are tough. But it's not that easy to do. Some people have attempted to fake their own death or disappearance to cash in on life policies or insurances, but they're inevitably caught out. Today, we look at celebrities that have vanished, some never being seen or heard from again. 17. Sinead OConnor. It wasn't too long ago that Irish singer Sinead OConnor was missing, but it was enough to have an alert issued with the local police to report her disappearance. She had gone for a bike ride and never returned home. With her history of severe depression, it's easy to understand why people panicked. Fortunately, in this case, she was found safe a few hours later. 16. Ritchie Edwards. It's not a name that is familiar to many, but Ritchie Edwards used to be the rhythm guitarist for the band Manic Street Preachers. He was an excellent lyricist, good-looking, very moody, and a dreamer. He once carved the words "for real" on his arm in response to an article published by the music magazine NME, suggesting the band's posturing was insincere. Ritchie disappeared in 1995, and many believed it to be another publicity stunt. He was meant to fly to America with James Dean Bradfield, another member of the band, but he never showed up. His car was later found near the Severn Bridge, but nobody knows what happened to Ritchie. He's actually never been found, but was declared legally dead in 2008. 15. Nick Stahl. He is known for his role in the film In the Bedroom from 2001, and he's gone missing more than once. The first time he went missing, the mystery was solved quickly when Stahl emailed his friends to say he was checking himself into rehab. This turned out to be true, and he spent some time in a rehabilitation center. He then disappeared again and checked himself out of rehab. It took a few weeks before he reconciled with his family and started going to AA. It hasn't been smooth sailing for him, and he was placed on psychiatric hold for reasons unknown and later arrested for illegal activities. 14. Glenn Miller. Miller was one of the biggest names in music between 1939 and 1942. Along with his orchestra, Miller released 70 top 10 singles and had 22 #1 records. He was playing all over Europe and loving it. While on board a flight from the UK to France, his plane vanished. His body has never been found, but he's assumed dead. One theory suggests that his plane was bombed by Allied planes coming back from Germany, but the chances of it being a faulty carburetor due to cold weather are maybe more plausible. 13. Ozzy Osbourne. After Ozzy was caught out for his infidelity, Sharon booted him out of their home. Ozzy had been messing around with Michelle Pugh, his stylist. At first, he stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel, but wasn't there for long. For days after his fight with Sharon, nobody could reach him, causing his family and friends to panic. His one close friend was quoted as saying, "He is not brilliant on his own and is a bit like a puppy. He goes missing and then he usually turns up sooner or later." Thankfully, he was found alive and well. 12. Chelsea O'Donnell. You might not be familiar with her name, but rather her mom, Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie's daughter went missing for almost a week in the summer of 2015. Rose reported her missing daughter on August the 16th, a Sunday, and by the following Tuesday, there was still no word from her. Rose resorted to social media to help find her daughter. Chelsea was found on that Wednesday, and she'd been hiding out with a convicted drug dealer that she met on Tinder. 11. Fan Bingbing. In the West, if you're a celebrity, you tend to get away with a lot. However, it's the exact opposite in China. Fan Bingbing is one of the few Chinese actresses to do well in the Western movie business, and when some of her movie contracts were leaked onto social media, things turned ugly for her. She had been using fake contacts to avoid taxes, which is allegedly common in the Chinese film industry. On the 1st of July 2018, she disappeared and has not been seen since. In China, evading taxes is a very serious crime, and when the government released its social responsibility report, fans scored a 0. It's been said that the Chinese authorities will issue her with a fine, and she has since apologized on social media. However, she still hasn't been seen in public, so where exactly is she? 10. Mark Sanford. This man used to be the governor of South Carolina, and he vanished for 6 days. He told people he was hiking the Appalachian Trail, except he wasn't. He had headed off to Argentina to spend some quality time with his mistress. Word got out, and he came back to the USA and apologized profusely. It didn't do his marriage any good. It fell apart. He did get engaged to his mistress, but that was short-lived too, and he announced it on social media that the engagement was off, which came as a huge surprise to his fiancée. 9. Dorothy Arnold. She was a well-known socialite from a well-known family. She loved writing and wanted to become an author. Her fame didn't come from her written work, but rather her disappearance. It was December 1910, and she had headed out for a bit of shopping on Fifth Avenue in New York City. She chatted to a friend along her route through Central Park, and that was the last time she was ever seen. The family hired a private investigator to avoid embarrassment, but nothing concrete ever came up about her disappearance. 5 years after, a convicted felon came forward and said he was instructed to bury the body of a young woman who lost her life during a botched operation. It's believed that this may have been Dorothy Arnold. 8. Kasem. Kasem was an American DJ who used to host the American Top 40 from 1970 until 2009. He too disappeared, and circumstances were very sketchy. Kasem was struggling with Parkinson's disease, and his children were only allowed to visit their father in accordance to an agreement set up with their stepmother. When the kids couldn't get a hold of their father after a lengthy period, nobody knew where he was. It was assumed he left the country of his own accord. 3 days after the story broke, Kasem was found alive and well in Washington. When questioned about his whereabouts, all the couple replied was that they were on vacation. He died at the age of 82 in June of 2014. 7. Theodosia Allison. The disappearance of Theodosia Allison can be likened to the disappearance of Ivanka Trump today. Theodosia was the daughter of the Vice President Aaron Burr, and she was married to Joseph Alston, governor of South Carolina in 1812. The family had several trials and tribulations, including the death of Alston's son at the age of 10 from malaria. She was meant to sail to New York to meet her father, but was not healthy enough to do so. She waited until December to make the trip, and she boarded a small boat in Georgetown, South Carolina, and then vanished for good. The conspiracy theories abound. Anything from her joining pirates out at sea, becoming a pirate mistress, escaping an incestuous relationship, and the list goes on. It's possible the ship just sank due to bad weather, but again, that's just a theory. 6. Randy Quaid. It's a strange tale to tell, but here goes. Academy Award nominee Randy Quaid and his wife decided to flee to Canada in 2010. They were seeking asylum from a group they called Hollywood Star Whackers, who they believed were out to kill them. They left a slew of illegal activities behind them, from fake credit cards to squatting in people's homes in their attempt to leave no paper trail. Quaid was denied citizenship in Canada. He was detained by immigration officials and was going to be deported back to the U.S. In a strange twist of events, he and his wife were arrested, trying to sneak back into the U.S. via Vermont. His disappearing act was a complete failure. 5. Patrick McDermott. Sadly, for McDermott, he'll probably always be remembered for the guy who tried to fake his own death and who dated Olivia Newton-John, as opposed to anything he achieved himself. The pair had an on-off relationship for years, and in 2005, McDermott disappeared while on a fishing trip in LA. Oddly, he wasn't reported missing until a week had passed, and then passengers on the boat all gave conflicting reports of the man's whereabouts. In 2008, he was presumed to have drowned. That claim soon came under the spotlight when people say they saw him with another woman in Mexico. 4. Margot Kidder. She's often cropped up on lists of strangest things found, and that's because in April of 1996, Superman actress Margot Kidder vanished for 4 days. She was found in the backyard of a random person in Glendale, California. She was disoriented, dirty, and delusional. Kidder was struggling with bipolar disorder and hadn't been taking her medication. She was exceptionally paranoid and even believed people were out to kill her. She has since passed away in 2018. 3. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This is the man that wrote The Little Prince, a simplistic story of such power that has since been made into a movie. He lived life to the maximum, loved flying, was a death-defying acrobat, and once crash-landed in the Libyan desert. When World War II started, he wanted to be involved for his country and offered to fly for them. Reports say he was more of a liability than a help, as he was behind in the newer models of airplanes and liked his alcohol a little too much. On his 10th mission, he flew over the Mediterranean and was never seen again. The wreckage of his plane was only found in 2000, and it's assumed he drowned, although we can't be 100% certain. 2. Jason Mewes. He has always had a battle with substance abuse, so when actor and film producer Jason Mewes didn't arrive at a mandatory court hearing, a warrant was issued. After a lengthy period, Mewes was found living off the grid. He did return to the land of the living and made his court appearance. The judge offered him to go to rehab for several months. Production wrapped up just recently on his new film, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, set for release later this year. If you were given the option to just disappear and have no contact with anyone ever again, would you take it? And if you would, where would you go? Let us know in the comments below. 1. James Allen. James Allen did a disappearing act in 2007, giving his fans and bandmates a rather bad scare. The news went global quickly, and it wasn't hard to not notice because he didn't rock up at the Mercury Awards where his band Las Vegas were meant to perform. Initially, people thought he was just ill, but when they couldn't find him, everyone was worried. He was only found 5 days later in New York City. It's still not clear why he did that, but he joined his bandmates in Boston a few days later when they opened for Kings of Leon. Subsequently, several of their shows were canceled, including a gig at Coachella. It was put down to Allen being exhausted, but he later admitted that he had struggled with substance abuse.